Okay, very good. I can see as far as I could. I see everybody. That's good. So, this is a good time to talk about your paper, just a little bit. Looks like everybody has signed. So, next Friday, yes. Today is the 8th, isn't it? So 10 days, I think it's right, yeah. Yeah, today's the 8th, so 10 days from today, next Friday, we'll have the first presentation. So let's see a show of hands, group one. Make sure, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think that's correct. Chris, are you presenting?
On the 28th, right?
No, I say 18.
Oh, 18. Oh, that's thank God.
That's 10 days different. If you want to present on
No,
the
no,
18th,
no.
we could squeeze you in.
No, I got
Okay.
plenty of things to do on the 18th.
Yours is after Thanksgiving, yeah. So some present before Thanksgiving, some after Thanksgiving. And I think I mentioned already there's a guideline you could look at, okay, for the PowerPoint slide. When it get closer, I'll give you even more, but you know, I mean, at this point, please do not just work on the PowerPoint per se. The main thing is to find the articles. I hope everybody who will be presenting on next Friday have already found an article or have very good idea what you want to do. If you, well, yeah, by now you should already know. If not, then you want to go ahead and do it and do that articles well, and then write up the paper. It's, what did I say, how long?
2 pages.
Well, I think that your syllabus say 3 to 5, but I did say I'm gonna cut it down to, if it is 2 to 3, that's fine, as long as, but you have to have content. If you don't have content, you know, oh boy. Okay, count down.
10, 9, 8.
What's his name? Nick.
That's good, yeah.
6,
Go get Nick.
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, thank you. I love my students. They're great. Yes.
Oh man, the magic.
Yeah, anointed. Very good. All right. So, oh, what did I say before we got distracted?
Paper. Cut it down.
I love my student. No, not that part. Yeah.
Cutting down the paper.
That part is good, though. I'm sorry.
You said cutting down the paper from 3 to 5, 2 to 3.
Oh yes, the page number. Thank you. I was gonna say something about it, and that's kind of important. I think I should go ahead and say that. Yep. Okay. So let's see. Have I talked about the PowerPoint content? No. So you have maximum, I believe it's 8. Because I'm thinking about 6. You know, if you give, you need to give handout. The handout is basically your, and every little things that you follow the guideline, you get points. You know, because that's how I grade you for your presentation. So this is like your, why would we, you know, that's it. You got 6, I think it's 8 slides maximum. So you could do like that. But for me, this is for fellow students, okay? Handout. So everybody know what this circle means. This means 1 slide, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maximum. So for student, if you want to say, because I think it's 8 slides, yeah. And, but for me, do it big. This is for me, okay? Me means Dr. Gunn. So you have to do like that. Oh God, like that. Yeah, you got a picture here, like that, okay? So that would be, because I need to have it big. So if you don't want some student, just give me 1 slide per page and that's fine. But this is the minimum. Do not give me 4, I think it will be harder to read, definitely not like that, okay? Okay, so let's see the paper. So you start out with a paper draft, as you should. And We have to set a standard because otherwise it will be a big difference between people who submit 5 pages maximum and people who submit 2, you know. So, what did the syllabus say though? Was it 3 to 5? Oh, it's 4 to 5 pages, okay, fair enough. Okay, I could say this, how about, well, let's just follow that. I think because if you're doing PowerPoint slide, you need to have some content, okay? And paraphrase everything, because remember, I'll check that copy and pasting. That is one of the most important thing. That, you know, you don't want to do plagiarisms, yeah, even your own work. And please also, if you take other classes, like English class, marketing or management classes, do not use a paper twice. Because there's some students who are not, and when they're caught, they say, well, I didn't know, now you know, I just said it. So please don't do that, because you can only receive credit one time. So I've had students who've done that before, and when they're caught, they just say, I didn't know. So now you know, okay? So, and it has to be based on economic concept you have learned so far. So, and it will be based on second half onwards. So that would be, it means that we start with monopoly. I think it's chapter 7, yeah. But it has to be different concept from what you used before. Like for example, if your first paper you use opportunity cost benefit, so move on to something else you have learned, you know, like economics of information, externality, game theory. If you've done game theory first half, then don't do game theory again, something else, yeah. Okay, so paper drop, let's stick with that, 4 to 5 pages. And let me say something about this 4 to 5 pages. Now I know that, let's say if you have 5 pages, okay, and if you have a lot to write, okay, you think like you want to say a lot, you know, because you're using 3 sources. You're trying to integrate everything together. And it's all right to write all the way content here and then the reference here. Okay, that will be fine. But I do not want to see an additional page called page 6 just for the sake of reference. Understand what I'm saying? So it's okay, you could share the last page if you get to be so pushed, you know. So this is your reference section, you have the item, and then this is where your content ends. So one of you had come to see me, I think it was last Friday, and talked about how to do your paper, and that's good. More of you should do that. So one of the questions the person asked, which I think is very relevant, is, and I mentioned this, if you look at your previous paper summary, you know, I put comments on it. If you want me to look at it again and comment further, I can. So one of the main things that I think I tried to comment was, I'm trying to remember, I realize I haven't passed this out yet, was oh yes, yeah, your opinions. Yes, it matters very much. So do not summarize for the sake of summarizing the articles, but tell us what you think. That's the part you score a lot of points, and some of you did. Some of you who did well, you know, like score like 85 and above. I would say most of you who are in that categories did actually have that last paragraph that says, what did I learn? You know, you put everything together in perspective. And please state your motivation at the beginning. Why? Why do you want to do game theory? What's so special about it? Why do you want to do baseball? What is every soccer that you like? Why? You know, you have to give it a little bit of motivation, then I got more interested in reading it. So do not start off with saying, oh, the article say, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, everybody could do that. But what did you learn from this article? You know, therefore, the picking of the articles become very extremely important. That you pick something you love. If you like music, go for it. I had a student who did a presentation one time, and he was a musician, and you know, interested in performing auditorium or something. So that was good, and because he put his put his mind in it, it's something that he was interested. Okay, so oh yeah, your PowerPoint slides. I was going to say something in 8 pages. Typically, if you want to write this down, okay, for the sake of people who will be presenting next week. So this is generally the guideline. We got 7 and 8. You don't have to do 8. If it is 6, it's fine. This is a number. So usually the first one is your title with your name. This is kind of like your title page. And your title, okay, your name. And then you should have an introduction and motivation. Your second slide, why am I doing that? And then typically your last slide too is your reference. Okay, this is where you have all the stuff. I do want to see that, yes, in your PowerPoint presentation, you get points. Your reference needs to be there. I want to know that you have already done the work, and do not block me, because I do check this. So one time student put in 10, I say you have to produce all 10. Remember the supporting documents, you have to hand it in when you hand in your paper. So here is where your conclusion is. And some of you pay attention to what I said last time. You did have a conclusion paragraph. You should. A lot of you don't. You just end abruptly. You know. Oh, you want to have a conclusion there, okay? So then obviously your content. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So that's basically it. And it's very important that you have at least, and I say this over and over, and students don't pay attention a lot of time. And then when they're presenting, pretty soon, you know, I lost my attention because I couldn't read what's, if it is smaller than 24 points, it's very difficult to read. So now you could use some graphics on that, but please, all those bell and whistles are not, I'm not grading you so much on creativity, but on your content. So I would say do not use video clip, because I have students who use shortcut. They use a video clip and he didn't do any other work, but just a video clip. Don't do that, because then that's not fair, you know. You're not doing your work, you're just citing somebody's, so if it's very relevant, just very small second, because a lot of time we run out of time. Because in your paper you cannot put video clip in it, basically. So if you want to cite it very, very quickly, yeah, I prefer not to, but if you have to, hopefully it's less than 1 minute, because every minute counts. Okay, any questions at all? You should have questions at this point. Well, okay, well, you still will have questions, I'm sure, yeah, when you get closer. All right, so let's continue. I think we could finish this and even do some ways before we start, right? Okay. So as you can see, this economics of information is rather interesting. You know, we talked about asymmetric information, why some people have more information than other people. And because of that, this perfect competition assumption breaks down. So I mentioned the used car markets, and I mentioned that that's a good example of asymmetric information. So who have more information in the used car market, the buyers or sellers?
Sellers.
The sellers have more, right. You have less information. You have to try to find out, you know, and they don't necessarily want to tell you. Likewise, with on the other hand, with insurance market is the other way. The insurance companies do not have as much information about what a reckless driver you are. They don't know until all the tickets start appearing, and then you start appearing in court, you know, and your insurance premiums hit the ceiling, and then they realize, oh, so I better be careful, you know, I mean, surely you will pay a high premium in that case. So, and that's the case of the sellers have less information about the buyers, because you buyers or consumers know how sick you are or how healthy you are, that you do not need insurance. You could just go, you know, I mean, like get by 2 years without insurance. And some, in the past, before Obama healthcare came about, some students would gamble. Gamble, flip the coin. And this year, I think I'll be okay. I could see the future, I mean, this year I won't get sick, so I won't buy insurance. Next year I'll buy. So that's called gambling. Anyway, so coming back to this, so this is asymmetric information is a situation in which buyer and sellers are not equally informed. One party has more information than the other. So let's look at the used car market. So let's look at this example. And this is the example of two people, Jane and Tom. And Jane has a sports car, and it's a 2010 Miata. I think that's, trying to remember what is it, Nissan? Mazda, okay, I was going to say. Do they still have Mazda RX-7?
It's the
Anybody
8
know?
number, yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s that was very popular. Anyway, so this car that she was trying to sell has 70K highway miles. Why do they have to say highway miles? Anybody? Why?
Because it's different for town.
See the amount of wear and tear.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so that's a good thing to list because that implies that you have less wear and tears because if you drive on the highway versus if you drive in a city where you have to stop a lot and brakes a lot, it's there's more wear and tears in it. Complete maintenance, so that's nice. A lot of the time buyers want to see that kind of record. Excellent condition, and that's what they claim, okay? They use the term excellent condition. Average price, $8,000. But Jane's reservation price, she thinks it's a good car, excellent, based on all that, okay? It's $10,000. So remember all the numbers. Next, we go to Tom. Tom is a potential buyer. So Tom also have reservation price. This is what he thinks. If the car is in excellent condition, I'm willing to pay $13K. Remember that reservation price means the maximum price that he's willing to pay. Maximum. Whereas Jane's was the selling price, that means minimum price in which he will let go of your car. So $9,000 if it is not in excellent condition, so yeah, he's got two price range. Very good. Sounds like an informed consumer. And then the next we say, he will not pay $10,000 to Jane just because he cannot tell. Very important. Because he cannot tell if Jane's car is an excellent buy. And because he does not know, so he ended up buying a car that's sort of so-so average for $8,000. From objective viewpoint, we know that Jane has an excellent car, but because Tom cannot tell, and because there's this problem with, can you trust me? Trust is an issue here. So he ended up buying a second best car. Not as good for $8,000 because that's how much he's, for $8,000. But he was actually more willing to pay, let's see, what is that? Yeah, he's actually willing to pay $9,000 if it is not in excellent condition. So then he has a consumer surplus of $1,000. So everybody understand that part? So Jane gets zero economic surplus because in this economy, we assume that just Jane and Tom, when it comes to maximizing total economic surplus. So in other words, the producer surplus for Jane is zero because her car did not get sold. So the total economic surplus would just be Tom's consumer surplus of $1,000. And we all look at this situation, we look at it and analyze, we say, well, they could do better. Yes, you're right. This outcome is not efficient. We'll see why. Okay. So what if Tom had paid Jane $11K? What if there was, he trusts her, everything works out well, and he ended up paying Jane $11,000? Then Tom will have the consumer surplus of 13 minus 11K, 2K. That 13K is the maximum price he's willing to pay if it's excellent condition. Let's just say that trust is not an issue. He takes her word for it. He bought it, and it turns out to be an excellent car. And then he earned a consumer surplus of $2,000. In the case of Jane, because Tom was willing to pay 11,000, which is 1,000 above her minimum price. She was going to let go of the car, so that's great. Great. In other words, she also earned and produced a surplus of 1,000. So you add these two together, we have 3,000 total economic surpluses, consumer surplus plus producer surplus. So nothing has changed. You just keep applying this total economic surplus over and over. By the way, you have a homework assignment due. I think it's on this chapter. Let's see, where is it? Why did it say 28? Am I looking at it right? Oh, that's October, yeah. Okay, we're following normal schedule now, so you have a test. This is so weird. What is this, 9/11? Okay. November 7th. What day is today?
Today's the 7th.
It did say we have a test. That's what you said.
I told you. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, I think that's a typo because we changed something that somehow did not get changed. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. When is your homework due? You have a homework due. Have you all done homework on based on chapter 8 already? Yeah, I think you did, right?
I was doing the
That's
test
on
day.
game theory. So like, your last set of homework will be due based on chapter 14. Okay, you're good. Yeah, no problem. So I think that was a typo. I need to change that. Nobody say anything except for you. Yeah. Okay, so now there's a loss of economic surplus of 2,000. How? Because remember the previous case we had 1,000, right? Total economic surplus, and now we got 3,000. So the difference is 2,000. So in other words, this is better because this one you have a higher total economic surplus of 3,000. The previous case where he did not trust Jane, it was only 1,000. So therefore, if you compare the two cases, we said there is a loss of economic surplus of 2,000, contributed by both consumer and the producer side. Okay, next I want to introduce the term lemons. There's a model called Lemons model, and everybody knows, I hope everybody knows, but one time when I mentioned it in class, not everybody knows. You use the term lemon to refer to a bad car, a car that is of low quality. Okay, so this was actually came out from George Akerlof. He's a famous economist, very famous actually. He won the Nobel Prize in economics for his lemons model in 2001. And his wife is very famous today. You should hear her name all the time on the news. Janet Yellen, anybody heard of her? No? Hmm.
Why is she not taking?
Who is she? This is a current Federal Reserve Bank chair, a chairwoman. Used to be Ben Bernanke, the guy who wrote the book that you're looking at now. At least a macroeconomics part. And then before him was Alan Greenspan. This is the current Federal Reserve chair. It's a woman, so, and that's his wife, Amos. I actually saw this guy in 2007 in Chicago American Economics Association, so he was one of the keynote speakers. So he explained how asymmetric information tends to reduce the average quality of goods offered for sale. So you need to know the definition. What exactly is Lemon's model? Okay, we'll look at it in detail coming up. But basically it came from this asymmetric information situation. So the main thing is that because of asymmetric information, consumers do not have enough information, then at the end of the day, it tends to reduce the average quality of goods, in this case cars, offered for sale. How does it work? So this is the gist of it. I'm summarizing it for you. If you read the book, it will try to explain to you, but this is a gist. Now, if you have bad cars, you have just been in an accident, so you can't like fix it up quickly, and then some people want to get rid of the car right away, want to sell it. So you want to get rid of your lemon. And now, if you have good car, right, you want to trade it in, and you may not get so much. So in general, people who have good car wouldn't want to get rid of your car. Why should they? Because you're not getting so much back, you know. So because you're not getting so much good price, you won't be getting such a good. The price that you get in the used car market is not as good if you have a good car that you try to get rid of. Nobody try to get rid of good car. So there is this connotation that, okay, people who have lemons who try to get rid of them. The buyers know that, potential buyers are you and me. We know that below average or lemons cars are likely to be on the market, so we also will lower our reservation prices. Yeah, you always haggle. You know, you don't just take the price 10,000 and say, okay, I buy it for 10,000. You have to negotiate a little bit with your used car sellers. Because used car prices are low, people with good cars keep them longer. Yeah, that's what I just said. The average quality of used car falls even further. So in other words, all the good cars are kept out of the market because people with good car knows that if they sell it in the used car market, you know, they're not going to get much price because in general, the people know that if you don't have such a good car, especially if it has been in an accident, you can fix it up quickly, and then cosmetics fix, you know, the inside, all that, it's harder to tell because unless you know a lot about cars, you know, the mechanics know a lot more about cars than you do. Some of you may. So because of that, overall, okay, on the average, we could expect in the used car market to be flooded with lemons. That is bad cars. So that's basically the model. So you have to argue it from both sides. The good car, how do the people with good cars, how do they feel? How do people with bad cars feel? So because of that, buyers also know. Buyers, they want to buy high price because they say, well, I don't know, I can't tell, you know. Sellers have an incentive to overstate the quality of their product. Yes, it has never been in the accident. I told you before, I told this class before that in my lifetime, I had owned at least 4 red Subaru. And because I only wanted to buy Subaru, you know, when I was a graduate student, because I learned all the engine, I studied everything. So I didn't want to look at another car, you know, in case something goes wrong, I could ask the mechanics intelligently, you know, because I studied the manual, everything. So anyway, the last car that I bought, I think I told you that I totaled all of them, except for the last one. Not my fault, I got rear-ended, you know, they hit me from behind because it's a red car. I don't know. But, so the last one that I bought, I was actually very happy with it. But I was somewhat blinded when I bought that car because I looked at it, I drove it, everything was good, you know, the used car, I actually bought it from, what was that big name? Cadillac, yeah. Dealership, but it's a used car, you know, somebody traded it in. So I took it for a spin and I was pretty happy with it, so I was ready to buy it. And the person didn't say anything, he was just so excited, you know. And I took it home, and only months later I realized that. You see, I told you I was blinded when I bought the car. I realized that it's got all this dent on it. Well, the dent is not obvious. It's got this, what do they call this, hailstones, yeah. You know, it's been, so it's got this dent on it, but it's not obvious. You have to really look for them. And that's probably why the owner got rid of it. But I didn't know at that point. And so that was my experience. Yeah, it's never been in an accident. Do you think they'll tell you that there have been a hailstorm, you know, and caused damage to the car? They won't tell you that. It's up to you. If you're blinded, that's your problem, right? Buyers have, and maybe some people like it, you know, they could argue that way. Bad chance, but that's what some car dealership would argue. You know, she liked it. What can I say? She didn't find problem with it. What can I say? Buyers have an incentive to understate the amount they're willing to pay for the products. This is when you go around and say, whoa, I see the damage. Whoa, I see the flood damage, you know, so yeah, knock off another $500 or so. Now I think in this country, at least my experience of buying used car, if you try to knock off 1,000, that's a lot. But in the country like Singapore, where I lived for 9 years, the prices of cars are like 3 times higher than this because it's a small island. They want to practice this negative externality. You know, after 10 years, they scrap the car, so all the cars on the road are new, somewhat new, at least less than 10 years old. So what happened is they, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so in the case of Singapore, it's different. You know, the cars are, they have brand new cars, so it's less problem with this asymmetric information. So anyway, and one of the dealership told me one time, you say $10,000, knock up 10,000, discount of 10,000 is common. Wow, that's a big jump. I mean, in this country, I don't think you do that. You know, like if you go out and buy a car, the list price is 40,000, and they sell it to you for 30,000. Not such a great good discount. Okay, so anyway, now comes back to this problem called trust or credibility. How do you project? For example, between Tom and Jane, you know, how would Jane project to Tom that, you know, her car is really excellent to buy? How many of you have gone to this used car place and you saw a car you really like? Oh, this is a sports car, Camaro black, you know, wow. And then you see this sign that say, okay, whatever, 10,000 and as is. What does as is means?
Probably has something you gotta fix.
Right, if you drive it away, you pay already, okay, you pay 10,000, you drive away, and then the next day, the engine broke down, or transmission went out. That's your problem. That's what it means, as is, you know, you look at it carefully, you buy it the way it is, you know. Don't come back if there's any problem. So that's what it means. Now, consumers are very beware when they see the term as is. So much better if they guarantee you, right? They say, oh, don't worry, for this car we have a warranty, even though it's a used car, but it's a good used car. So we're gonna throw out this warranty like for, say, 30 days warranty. Is that good? Oh yeah, definitely. If you drive it for 30 days, you know for sure this is a good car or bad car, you know? I mean, if something goes wrong, it's during this 30 days, right? If transmission were to go out, you would know. So, in other words, warranties, I'll get to advertising in just a second, is it's a credible sign that this is a good car. Okay, how do they communicate the knowledge truthfully? So then we want to introduce this principle known as a costly to fake principle. What does it mean? So costly to fake means a lot of time you see on national TV. I don't watch TV anymore, but you know, all this primetime TV, you have this advertisement going on. I don't know what they do now. I think it used to be soap, detergent. Do they still do that? A lot of this advertising? Do they still have this kind of, they do? Okay, thank you, yeah. So, you know, I mean, this kind of advertisement, right, if they advertise it, a lot of time in the magazine, you would read something like that as advertised. You know, when they try to sell some product, they say, well, this product was as advertised on national TV. What does that tell you? That tells you that this product has to be good. Excellent product because they spend money. It's not cheap to advertise on the national TV. Oh, prime time, you know, it costs a lot. Like Super Bowl, for example. You think anybody could put up ad? No, they cost so much. And they know everybody watch, because that's the key, that's the advertising. So, so if whatever products that you were trying to advertise through the national news or even warranties in the case of car or dryers, anything, a washer, if you have a warranties and people know that, yeah, this has to be good product. Even a used car has 30 days warranty on it. So what it is, in a sense, if you offer warranty or have some sort of advertisement, then you communicate information in a credible way to your potential buyer. So this is called signaling. You heard this term before in economics. Like you try to signal to somebody. And this signaling is referring to this, the effort to try to, communicate to your buyer's potential party that you're dealing with, that you're credible. Okay, so this is what I was saying. Why do firms insert the phrase as advertised on TV when they advertise their products in magazine and newspaper? Why do many companies care so much about elite educational credential? Where'd you get your degree from? UNCP. Oh, I never heard about it. Where'd you get it from? Harvard. Oh yeah, I heard of Harvard. Well, I mean, it's not so bad. In this area, I'm sure people heard about UNCP. So, and that's what it is, like what kind of signal are you projecting to your potential employers or potential buyers or sellers out there? Next, I want to introduce a concept known as conspicuous consumption. Does anybody know what the word conspicuous means in English? Anybody? Have you tried to hide under a bush or behind a bush? I gave this example in my macro class because that was very relevant. Hat. What is a hat? A bush. So, okay, never mind. Conspicuous means obvious. So sometimes, if you're hiding behind a bush, it's not so obvious, So conspicuous means it's very obvious. Like if you're a lawyer, you're driving a BMW. Do you think people notice it? Yeah, absolutely. I notice my colleagues who drive Mercedes, Lexus, or if they have a Bentley, I'm sure I know, right? Or a black Camaro, the late model. So we asked this question, why do so many clients seem to prefer lawyers who wear expensive suits? How many of you have, I probably shouldn't ask this, but how many of you have turned the yellow pages looking for a lawyer? Never mind, don't raise your hand.
But they can contact you anyway.
Yeah, they find
gonna
you
contact
Oh, they contact you if you're in the accident, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at the yellow pages, right, you look at the lawyer's advertisement, what is one thing that you see in common? They all wear expensive suits, right? They don't wear a t-shirt and say, I'm the lawyer, yeah. Oh, who is this? Now, if you walk into a lawyer's office, what kind of furniture do you see? Tell me.
Nice.
Very nice. Leather, yeah? Leather sofa. Do you see lawn chair? Excuse me? Lawn furnitures? I don't think so. And you see expensive paintings a lot of time. What are they trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that they are competent. They win cases. But then a lot of time you don't know. When you flip the page, you say, oh yeah, this one looks like, oh yeah, look at this one, what a joke. And you say things like that, you don't know. And then you walk into the office, you still don't know because they all look the same, expensive furniture, leather sofa, and nice furniture, paintings, all that. You still don't know. So what this theory is saying that if you do not have any information about the lawyer, like you look at their resume, CV, look at how many cases they've won, then you just go by what's obvious. What's obvious would be like what they wear, what they drive, what the office looks like, you know, except to recommendation. So this conspicuous consumption, it sends a signal to the professional, of the professional competence of the consumer. So what this is saying is that people who, like lawyers, now this could apply to accountants as well. So one time I actually practices, I'm looking for accountant in the area, I go to the accounting office, I park my car there and then just sit there and watch who goes in and out, see what kind of car they drive, you know. I have a sister who works for a accounting firm for some 40 years. And then one job, that's it. Beginning and the end. So about 10 years after she worked for the accounting firm, they asked her to be the partner. And she drives nothing but BMW. I asked her, I say, why do you want to drive BMW? Why don't you want to drive a Hummer or Jeep, you know, like something that's a little bit more rugged, you know, because that's what I have, right? And she said, no, I'm doing that for my clients. Whoa, that really stuck in my mind, you know, because if he's driving a expensive car, it conveys to the consumer, her clients, that she's competent. That only also apply to lawyer. But please don't get this wrong. So this is only true if you have no other information about the person. Then you go for what is obvious. So next I want to introduce what is statistical discrimination. And in today's language, this is the same as stereotyping. You heard about how people discriminate, you know, if they hear of, let's say, certain race, they'll have this stereotyping, oh, that, oh, this, you know. So statistical discrimination, another concept I'm introducing so all this concept, you should know the definition as well as example. So this is practice of making judgment about the quality of people, goods, or services based on characteristics of the groups to which they belong. For example, most of you fit into these categories of male driver less than 25 years old. And guess what? You pay the highest insurance premium. Auto insurance. Why? Because according to the insurance record, this group of people are the one who has the highest record. Especially if you're driving a red sports car. And then, you know, your premium tends to be higher, but not for the same female who sit right next to you. She's paying a lot less than you because, you know, it doesn't come out that way in their book, you know, insurance. So, for example, if you have an elite education from Harvard, you tend to be higher than versus if you get a degree from whatever colleges you're from. And if you have a higher SAT score, that's also, you know, we tend to admit students with higher SAT score. So this is called statistical discrimination. Okay, so let's see. Then I want to introduce what is adverse selection. So adverse selection is like buying insurance. What kind of people who buy insurance, health insurance? People who are sick, right? People who need the insurance, that you know that you're going to fall sick at some point, you're going to file claims. Those are the people who want to buy insurance. Now, so insurance becomes very attractive to those people who are likely to file claims. But, you know, if you're healthy, before the Obama healthcare came about, you know, if you're healthy, you might not want to buy insurance. So basically, adverse selection is referred to this scenario in which a lot of people who buy insurance are the people who are the most likely to file insurance claims. Although the laws does require you today to buy auto insurance and health insurance. Next, few more concepts. What is moral hazard?
You're right. I'll write it.
Yeah, don't write everything. So it's all definition is all there. So just write down that keywords for the concept, and then look it up. I could refer to you what page it is, but they're all there. Okay. So what is moral hazard? Moral hazard is something that you will spend less effort in protecting because you have insurance. For example, how many of you buy insurance for your cell phone? Come on, some of you do. I bought for my son, not for me.
Well, it's
I
like
realize it.
required a lot now because a lot of the way people, like cell phone companies are like, yeah, whatever. It's like required because instead of buying the phone, like you lease the phone or something, so you have to have insurance on it.
Well, I mean, there's still option though. If you buy it, you don't have to. It comes separate. Yeah. I think as I understand, it's still separate thing. So now, if you have insurance, you tend to spend less care. So you might toss it up in the ceiling and let it fall and say, I don't care. I'll get a new one. So if you buy a brand new car, you know, like you don't lock it because you say, well, I think, you know, I got insurance. I don't care. If I lose my car, they would give me a brand new one. So same thing with laptop computer. So that's moral hazard. Okay, in other words, if you know that you have insurance, you tend to spend less care on it. So if you get stolen, you don't care because you know you get it back. So because of this moral hazard problem, the insurance company come up with something called deductibles. Does everybody have deductibles for your auto insurance? Maybe about 500 in your categories, 8 categories. So that $500 means if you get into a fender bender, that's, let's just say $600, cost $600. So who pays for it? If you have a deductible of 500.
You pay 5, they pay 1, they pay 100.
Okay, very good, yeah. But if it's less, let's just say that it's $499. Who pays? You pay $499. The insurance company does not want to have anything to do with you until you pay the deductible. So if there's a small case fender bender, which it's all over the place, people will keep filing insurance, and then the insurance company will be like, whoa, you know, every day dealing with small cases. They don't want to do that. So deductibles is a way, a solution to solve a moral hazard problem, because they say, you take care of your car. If you wreck it and if you hit the mailboxes, you fix it if it is below 300. Then people are more careful in driving. So if it is 100%, they don't care, you know, they hit the mailbox and say, oh yeah, they pay for it. No, if it is less than 500, it's on you. Okay, and then there's this political, okay, let me finish this one, because since tomorrow is election day. So this is a theory that say disappearing political discourse basically say if people stand up for certain issues like abortion, you know, gay marriage, and whatever is bathroom HB2, okay, and death penalty, and a lot of time, all these controversial issues, the candidates tend to be quiet about it. Because the minute they speak up, you know, people tend to misinterpret them. So therefore, according to this theory, it's better that you don't say anything, because of asymmetric information, the information could be conveyed incorrectly to the voters. Okay, yeah, I think it's done. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good day. Go out and vote. That's tomorrow. And I'll see you Wednesday or Friday.